Hey everybody, it's Michael with Infinit Nutrition, keeping you in the loop. And this morning we've got a very special guest, a young up-and-comer, a fast guy, Trevor Foley. Trevor, obviously great running background. He's taken first at Waco, and the results have been pretty amazing this year. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words.
Oh, dude, crazy year. I mean, you've exploded. You've just absolutely popped on the scene, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's I think been a accumulation of just a lot of months and years of hard work, and yeah, kind of just snowballs after like one good thing. You kind of mentally believe in yourself, and the physical attributes are there just to keep trucking. And yeah, now I'm just trying to ride the wave and just keep bettering myself every day.
Honest answer, 12 months ago, you could look into a crystal ball, see you're successful today. Would you say to yourself, wow, I'm surprised, or yeah, I expected that?
I'd say probably 50-50. Like wouldn't
Mhm.
be at this level. Like still like competing well, but maybe not at the like quick pace as maybe like getting second at St. George and like, top 30 in the world, maybe like next year or something. So like, yeah, maybe have exceeded the pace line just a little bit.
That's amazing. So tell us about your background. You grew up in Florida, correct?
Yep. Yep. Born and raised in Florida.
Sports growing up as a kid
Uh,
through high
yeah,
school.
grew up just doing soccer competitively, basically from the age I could walk, and then till 12 years old was super competitive in that. And then the end of fifth grade, the team did a local 5K. I ran like 2040 at like fifth grade, first 5K ever, and I was like, oh man, like I won my age group. And what 12-year-old doesn't like winning? And so then I kind of started just like diving into running, and one thing led to another, and I really I came obsessed with running, and I ran through middle school and high school, and ultimately landed a scholarship at the University of Florida. And yeah, I just was full in on running for a good 10 years of my life.
That's amazing to develop that love at that age. I ran cross country, but to develop the love of running at an early age is it's not it's not typical. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people always ask, like, man, were your parents runners, or like, were your parents doing like the 5Ks or the Ironmans, or like, did you go to like a fancy private school? And I was like, no, like, my parents are just like normal people. And yeah, I just went to like a normal public school and just, yeah, I really just kind of loved it. I think probably I'm from a pretty small town, and running was pretty easy, especially like I always kind of had the goal of going to college. So it's like in other team sports, it's kind of hard to go to college, just because you have to show your skills to a bunch of different coaches. But in like a sport like swimming or running, the times are pretty cut and dry, So if you want to go to college, it's pretty self-explanatory how to get a scholarship. I mean, you just got to run fast.
Got to run this time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So how was Florida? I mean, what were your distances that you were doing down there?
Yeah, so in high school, I ran the mile and the 2 mile. And then moving into college, I ran the 1500 and the 5K.
Okay.
And ended up having PRs of 344 and 1500 and 1403 in the 5K.
Wow.
And I competed on the team for 3 years, so 2018 to 2021. So yeah, I only got 3 seasons. Right now would actually be my fifth year, like my last season on the team. But at the my third track season, at the end of it in summer of 21, I just kind of had this like this idea. The reason I got into triathlon is because during COVID, the 12 months prior, I had broken my foot. So I found swimming and biking, and so literally only like 12 months later, I quit the like Florida cross country and track team. I was like, I'm gonna be a pro triathlete. Not even like knowing really what that meant, but I was like, I love triathlon and I love biking, so I was like, I'm gonna just go all in. And now I'm here.
That is truly the definition of all in right there. Just like
Yeah.
I'm out and I'm in. That's
Yeah.
hysterical. So we can thank COVID for your success then.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. So you any swimming background at all?
No, no swimming, no biking, just running.
Wow, that's amazing. What just as a guy, because I kind of had a similar path, but I started triathlon in my early 30s. and I'd never swam a lap in my life. How's that trying to get fast at swimming? Because
Yeah,
with no
it's
feel of water, because that's the
yeah.
one thing the kids that grew up swimming, they always have that feel of the water that us that didn't don't have that,
Mhm.
that never can get that.
Yeah, I think I struggle with two things, and the first thing is like the mental side of it. Like it's so common for someone to say like, "Oh, you're a bad swimmer," which is like I don't know. I feel like as a community, we could definitely work on that. Like you don't need to be like.
Mhm.
I feel like people just call people bad swimmers so casually. It's like, oh no, like I'm working pretty hard. Like trust me.
So
Um,
if we got to come up with a better term, then I challenged or something like that.
yeah, like I'm a developing swimmer.
I'm a
So
developing swimmer. Okay, we'll stick with
yeah.
it. Perfect.
So yeah, just yeah, learning how to swim. And then honestly now, like I talked about this with my swim coach back in Tucson of like since I grew up running, it's just like a forward motion. There's no side to side, like no mobility. So like right now I'm really trying to work on like mobility through my shoulders and my arms because I'm so rigid. Like I cannot rotate. I can barely put my arms behind my back. So I'm just like that motion of like, yeah, just lap swimming is so foreign to me.
Mhm.
So just working on that kind of stuff is super important, but working hard every day. And, some days is great. Some days I'm like, oh man, I have went 2 months backwards, but it's like you said, it's the feel. It just comes and goes.
Yeah. So what are you doing your hundreds in right now?
Right now, I say threshold at sea level, about 110.
Wow, that's
So,
amazing, outstanding.
yeah, thanks. I'm trying.
Oh,
So
it's great. It's just crazy. I mean, I can just relate because to get to that level of swimming is phenomenal.
yeah, and also too, it's like you're not just like this is something it's just so hard. I mean, it's what makes triathlon probably so addicting to train for. It's just like yeah, I could try to get to 105, but then I have to be pushing 360 on the bike and running 1505 off the bike too. It's not just the swim or just the bike. So it's like, man, one day I'm like, oh, I just smashed an interval workout of the bike and then my run's terrible. Or like
Mhm.
it's a balancing of the all three. It's just so difficult.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what of the three? What have you kind of? I mean, obviously your running background. What's your favorite right now?
By far the bike. Like
Yeah.
I love the bike. I still like running and I enjoy it, but I had done it so long at such a competitive level. It's like the new stimulus of biking is so refreshing. So if I could be a pro biker, if Jumbo Visma wants to call me up and go to France in like a month, I'd be all over it. So
Okay.
so like I said, it's just a new stimulus. You can explore, you can ride gravel, mountain. It's just so fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're centered your training around some pretty fast people also.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, you're definitely with a hammer group. I mean, as far as what if you're going
Definitely.
to train up and train with better people, you're certainly in with the right group down there in Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, coming from the college run background, you're always training with people better than you in a, super high level environment. So trying to surround yourself with people like that in triathlon is just so key for development, especially like being young in the sport. So yeah, my good friend now, like Lionel Sanders, we started forming a relationship after second 70.3 ever. I competed in Indian Wells 2021, and he won that race, and I got fifth. And he kind of walked up to me after the race because I had ran it just as fast as him. So he's kind of like, man, he's just 21-year-old, like running as fast as me. And so we had just stayed in contact for like a year, and he extended the invitation to come, learn from him and train with him. And yeah, it's been an amazing 6 months, and actually moving out there full time at the end of June. So it's been a great experience.
That's cool. So, over those 6 months, what were you say were the keys that you've learned from him?
From Lionel, to be honest, this is probably counterindicative of what Lionel's known for. Lionel's known for, hammering all the time and stuff. But as a coach, he's like really good. Like he's really like showed me like save the last like hard interval, the extra gear for the race. Like sometimes, especially me being young, I'm just like, oh, I want to smash this last interval. And Lionel's like, nah, dude, like just save it for the race. And honestly, just the team that he surrounds himself with his whole team of, you know, partners and his wife Erin, like his agents. Like it's an amazing team and it's very professional, and that's a massive reason as to why he's so good is the support structure he has around him.
Interesting. As far as your training goes, how would you describe just your kind of training regimen, your mentality? Are you more geared towards doing speed work? Do you like doing long, slow distance? Do you like the base phase? Talk about your taper a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely, especially in running, I come from a very like quality over quantity background.
Mm-hmm.
So, which still in running, I mean, I still was running 80, 90 miles a week, but it was still at a really, and that's not, unfortunately, it's not even that high of mileage and just normal running. But now I kind of still keep that approach just because, and I talk about this with Lionel, and I think it's better when you're younger to train at a more quality than quantity. Just as I'm only 23, so I don't want to just be out there for 30, 40 hours a week. That's something that's like we call it like a lever. Like it's a lever I can pull when I'm in my 30s, like right now it's not that taxing for me to train hard and train fast. And so yeah, I train about 18 to 20 hours a week. And that's usually about like 35 miles to 40 on the run, about like 10 hours a week on the bike, and then about 20K of yards a week in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, pretty quality based, but I mean, the way the 70.3 distance is going nowadays, it's so fast. It's all threshold. I mean, the guys are swimming, 22, 23 minutes. I mean, we're biking 360, 370, and you're running 5-minute miles. It's pretty hard. Even if you did it for 30, like doing an interval at 360 on the bike for 10 minutes isn't easy.
Yeah.
So, and then usually the taper, I'm racing 70.3 Boulder this Saturday. And so I've just started, I kind of quote unquote started my taper about 72 hours out. I'll do a pretty big, really easy 72 to 48 hours out from the race. And I've just found that works for me. If I taper any longer, I kind of go flat and then get stale for the race.
Mm-hmm. Diet. What do you do for your diet, day-to-day diet?
Yeah, most days are pretty cut and dry. I like oatmeal with a bunch of berries and peanut butter, chocolate chips in the morning with some yogurt. Have that like every morning. Lunch is usually pretty much just like a sandwich and some like Doritos or something, and then dinner is like Chipotle. If I don't eat Chipotle, I'll like kind of make Chipotle at my house, but it's like Chipotle is like $8 and I get a ton of food and it's
1,500 calories.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then for nutrition during training, I definitely believe in like a high carb. So I usually do like 80 to 100 carbs an hour during training. And I just feel like that allows me, because especially when you're training super intense, like you're burning straight carbs, so you need to fuel with carbs, but as well, it's just so important for recovery into the next session as well. So definitely a really big fan of eating, fueling as much as possible.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really interesting science happening right now as far as the carb discussion goes. Infinit has always been isotonic solutions. Max carb rate, typically around 350 calories an hour, was sort of the top end. But the research is showing now that you can get almost 2 grams per kilo of body weight, which is more in the 500 plus calories an hour range down your gut and actually processing. Infinit's coming out with a new 90 and 120 gram mix in a couple of weeks, by the way. Awesome. Yeah. So we'll have 120 gram option available to people. Are you pushing that kind of carb number?
Yeah. So right now I have my my nutrition custom blend, which is it's fun, little like backstory of like how I got with Infinit is last year. I was trying to do a bunch of nutrition options, but like the high carb, like you said, but it's so hard to find like high carb that one doesn't wreck my stomach, and then two that actually like dilutes in the bottle. And so my friend like Ray, she's on Team Infinit, so started using the speed and the jet fuel all of like the back end of last year when I got my 3 podiums, and it was really good. So the jet fuel I think was 57 carbs per serving. So I would do that's basically what, 28 carbs per scoop. So I basically do like 3 to 4 scoops in each bottle, and and the bike's only 2 hours, so I would just do that. And so now my custom blend has 80 carbs, so that means each scoop's 40. So I'll just do 3 scoops, and that's 120 carbs an hour.
Mhm.
I'll do that for the race. So that's my race plan for Boulder 70.3. And then mostly for training, if it's just an easy ride, I'll do like 80 carbs an hour, or if it's like a workout, I'll move up to the 80 to 120. And that's kind of what I'm doing in my day to day right now.
Did you have to do any training of your gut?
No, luckily it worked for me. Like this, I think I started Infinit at Augusta 70.3 last year, and I just kind of threw in the high carb, and I, knock on wood, I've never had a problem. So
It's interesting because it scares me a little bit. The 120 grams, that's a lot.
yeah,
I mean, it's a half a cup of sugar a bottle.
yeah,
It's a lot. And I just think for people listening out there that, and I am starting to come around to the 120 gram thing. Try it beforehand before you jump in at Augusta and just wing it.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one thing that's important as well is, so I'll do those 2 bottles of like concentrated carb, but I'll also drink 16 ounces of water on the bike as well, which I think is important as well, just to have water to help you digest the drink mix during the race.
Because it's probably not isotonic. If you get up at that kind of carb load, it's not going to be. So adding water to the mix will keep your stomach a lot happier. Have you done a sweat rate test on yourself?
Nope, I haven't. I don't. I think I want to. The last few months I haven't really sweat being in Arizona, so it's been cold, but it's definitely starting to get hot now. So probably should look into that.
It's just a number that I advise everybody that they just thought, because if you don't know that number height, how do you know how much you should be drinking?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Recovery, what do you do?
I just have a Infinit custom blend. It's I think I made it online with our sports nutritionist, and it's basically just the middle ground. It's not like super high carb, but I think there's 3 options when you make it. It's the middle one, and it's for like the evening before bed. So I think it has like some tart cherry stuff in it, some stuff that help promote sleep health.
Tryptophan, I think, included.
Yep. And I'll have that and the chocolate flavor, and I'll just mix that with about 20 ounces of water and hit that every night before bed. The reason I hit it before bed is because usually I train later than earlier. So usually my last session is pretty close to bedtime anyway. So I'll just do my last training session, hit that, take a shower, and then eat dinner, and then off to bed.
It does help you sleep as well. That tryptophan, it really does work well.
For sure. Yeah, it's been good. I mean, the thing, my girlfriend's been getting in triathlon, and I've been telling her about, fueling before and during. And it's not just a session. It's not about the session necessarily you're in. You can probably do a 2-hour bike ride and not fuel, but it's affecting the session you just did and then the session you're going to do tomorrow. So it's not necessarily for the session you're doing right now. It's so you don't feel like crap tomorrow when you wake up.
Absolutely. And the better you feel the next day, the more efficient you're going to be, and net you're going to end up fitter faster if you can actually fuel yourself correctly. I don't skip nutrition during workouts, because you won't recover quite as well. It's absolutely true. So what hobbies outside of racing? Obviously, You're probably a pretty boring guy right now because you're pretty focused on athletics, but what do you do for fun?
Yeah, right now, like you said, I'm pretty not very interesting. It's pretty much swim, bike, run. I have a little like coaching business I do, so that keeps me pretty engaged. It's a big passion of mine, so that keeps me pretty full on. I'm big into YouTube, like watching YouTube, so I keep up with all the triathlon YouTube of like Lionel and Lucy Charles and Ben Canute, like all these guys that have YouTube. So I'll keep up to date with that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, besides that, it's not too much fun. In college, it's kind of like a fun fact, I guess. I was like a valet driver at like a super fancy condo. I did that so I did that for 4 years. That was kind of like a cool thing. I always got to tell my friends, because I drove a bunch of like Lambos and McLarens and stuff like that. So that was super cool.
Got some nice tips from the old ladies, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it was a great college job for 4 years. I mean, I had to go back and do that now if I had time. It was a fun thing to do.
That's cool. So up to what would you say is your career highlight that you've had so far? And that doesn't have to be with triathlon.
Yeah. Career highlight. Probably I can give you one in running and one in triathlon. I think one in triathlon would probably have been my St. George result.
Mhm.
Maybe like it wasn't like the best numbers, like looking at my data afterwards. Like it was definitely up there, but like just the people that I competed against, and I was pretty close to Sam, who had the win. It was more of just like a coming out day, I guess. Like really just kind of proving to myself that I belong at the top end of the sport. So it was more like felt really good after the fact of like, oh, okay, I belong. And then running, my sophomore year in college, I ran 14:03 for the 5K. Off of like I was coming off of an injury, and it was just basically off of a lot of cross training, and it was fifth all time mark in the University of Florida all time. So that was a pretty special moment to me, running that fast. And yeah, hopefully looking for some more special moments, hopefully at the end of this year.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, speaking of that, what's as far as your goals for this year, how would you put that?
Yeah, so I'm a pretty realistic person with myself. Like last year, I wrote out basically two goals that I wanted to achieve, and last year it was finish top 50 in the PTO world rankings, and I finished 42nd. And then I also wanted to win a 70.3 last year, so I accomplished both of those goals last year. So this year, I would like to try to finish top 30 in the world, be a top 5 American, and then win another 70.3. I think those are just kind of my three goals, all while, building my personal brand, building my coaching business, inspiring other people, trying to be engaging. Like I know when I was getting into the sport, going to races and having conversations, people like Sam or Lionel, like super special, means a lot. And not that I'm at that level any way, shape, or form, but like I don't know, if people walk up to me, I'd love to have a conversation or just inspire people, stuff like that. So yeah, just kind of trying to do that for the rest of the year and race as many North American 70.3s as I can.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, if I can stay healthy, motivated, I think I could be probably one of the top half distance athletes in the world, while maybe trying to figure out Ironman somewhere along those lines, because I dream of Kona. So that would be very epic.
That makes my heart very, very happy.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I love half racing too, but long
Yeah.
course,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I've done 3 Ironmans, finished 2, and I guess you could call them subpar. I mean, I probably competed to the best of my ability, but like people are like, man, why are you doing Ironman? I'm like, dude, because like I wake up every day and I want to win Kona. I want to go to Kona, like. And so I think honestly that'll be my goal, my game plan for the rest of the next at least 5 years is probably start every season with an Ironman, end every season with an Ironman. And if it goes good or bad, I won't lose sleep about it, but one day it'll stick. And like I said, I'm only 23 now, and I'm so new to this one bike. Like it'll probably take a few years for it to stick across like that long of a race, but definitely going to keep trying. I would definitely love to try to get there one day.
Well, I would hope that when you do it, because you'll do that, is that I would like to be in Kona at that time. That would be very cool.
Yeah. Are you guys going to Nice?
No. No. I mean, it's kind of, the whole situation's goofy without getting down that rabbit hole, but probably not. We're producing out of Czech Republic now, so we've opened up Infinit Europe. So we do service the area, but we're not going to be going to Nice. And I don't think we're going to go to Kona this year just because it's so darn expensive. It's been a couple of years. I need to get back down there.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely interesting with the split venue. So we'll see how it goes.
We will see how it goes. Fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, cool. I appreciate the time. Obviously, good luck for the rest of the year. Hope you just absolutely crush it. I mean, everything that seems like it's moving in the right direction. When do you land down in Arizona full time?
End of June. So I'm going to do 70.3 Boulder Saturday, and then I'll stay in Boulder for 2 more weeks, and I'll do 70.3 Mont Tremblant in Canada, and then fly back home, pack up the car, and drive across the country.
Beautiful. That's fantastic. And if
Yep.
people want to reach out to you for coaching services, what's the best way to do that?
Just on my Instagram. I have Instagram DMs and email. It's the best way to get a hold of me. So if you have just any other triathlon related questions, be happy to chat.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, brother. Trevor, great to meet you. Thank you so much for the time. Be safe on the roads out there, and I look forward to seeing you face to face someday.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I'll see you guys out there.
All right. See ya.
See ya.